HFP Discusses Josh Fowler.
Yeah, we have an introduction now. Fair play. Right, this Discusses is a discussion, and it might actually be quite a nice one, rather than the sinister, bitter, ranty ones that there have been previously.
Sure, let's start. Josh is a dick.
Right. Did you ever watch the TV series Sherlock?
The new one.
Yeah.
I watched part of it.
Right, they do this whole mind palace thing, and then they visually show his, thought processes. Did you see any of that?
I don't think it was that later in.
Later on, they do a really big, proper one with, a guy in a cage, and it's...
No,
yeah,
right. I didn't pay enough attention if it did.
Fair play. If Happy Fingers Productions had a mind palace thing,
yeah,
there would be, 3 pillars, as far as I'm concerned, that would be the foundations of everything. And those 3 pillars are the guys that we learned from kind of when we were still developing as filmmakers, before HP was really a thing, you know? One of them is a guy called Jamie, who was our first director at film school and stuff, and he knew what he was doing because he was so old.
Yeah. I don't know if he actually knew what he was doing, or if he was just so confident with what he thought he knew he was doing that it just worked.
But he taught, the guerrilla techniques that we sometimes use all came from, him. And then another pillar is, a combination of the film school stuff. It's not any one tutor, but it's, Mark, Lincoln, Matt, whose surname I forget, Dave, who was, the theory guy.
Yeah.
And
then I also had Louise. I want to say Simon.
Goodbye, car.
And a guy called Tom Bell, who didn't actually teach me that much because he only came in our second year, but he taught me, odd bits.
Yeah, but they're your shitty pillars.
Yeah.
They're not HFP pillars. And the third pillar...
If you think about it, one of the HFP pillars could be me on your end. And I got that from them. So you have to include them, really.
Yeah, the pillar... in mine, you're just a huge gold naked statue. Just looking at...
I'm at the top of the pillars.
Yeah, with an arm outstretched and the sun slightly setting on a beautiful scenery behind you, and that's your pillar. But anyway, the other pillar, this third foundation pillar, is Josh Fowler, filmmaker. Yeah. He's amazing and also ridiculous. Yeah. And kind of brilliant. He's banned from Canada. That's the type of guy we're talking about. And we're not quite sure why, but it involved drugs and smuggling, I think.
I can't remember the proper
He told us the story once, but we were
drunk.
drunk.
The story.
We were drunk as fuck, and I can't remember it.
That was when we actually drank. From what I remember, it wasn't drugs so much as something to do with there
was a woman and a mafia and all sorts of crazy shit.
It was drugs, but it wasn't drugs. They thought he was with someone else who was smuggling drugs or some shit, and eventually they couldn't prove it, so they just banned him. Yeah,
it was crazy. He's basically just got told, don't come back to Canada.
Yeah.
That's the type of guy he is. He's a filmmaker, he's a director. I met him through where I was working, and I think he jumped at us more because we were students who had access to free equipment for his stuff. But he agreed to come on and help us with our shorts and stuff. And he taught me about lighting and DPing and visual. And I remember on Who Killed Haley, which we have mentioned before, it's a short that you made. He took the camera and did all these kind of dynamic shots. Some worked.
Spinny shot.
Yeah, that was a row.
Yeah.
One minute gave me the camera and he just kept spinning it in and back. And then you were kind of I don't want any spinny shots. So he's like, you gave me the camera. Don't tell me to give you spinny shots and then have a go at me when I'm giving spinny shots.
But it wasn't so much that I didn't want a spinny shot. The spinny shot I had in mind when he was do you want a spinny shot? Was, the really slow top, down, it goes really slowly turning around of, a dead body, proper, crane type shot sort of thing. That's what I imagined. What Josh did was, Batman newsreel spinny shot. Right. Where he, squats really fast and spins it around really fast. And the sort of newspaper shit, and it was we don't need that shot, but we'd already told him to do it. Yeah. So
you told him it was your film.
He asked if I wanted a spinny shot. I was like, yeah, I have a spinny shot. It just wasn't quite the shot that I thought he was getting.
I remember he is a really good filmmaker. Like his eye for film, it was brilliant. And there's Young Dumb Numb, there's Monica Numb on our YouTube channel, which is a really old video, and most of the gorgeous stuff from that is him. Like he could take our camera and get kind of depth, or he said depth in a new level, and
so the great thing about Josh is, he's similar to you, but like somehow Budge Job's really nice looking stuff, as opposed to like Budge Job's like good acting as such.
Thanks.
You're more like you explain to actors what you want, and then we manage to get it, even if we've explained it badly.
Yeah.
Whereas Josh, like, he did the same but with camera. Like he'd explain what he want, not necessarily the right way, but we'd still get it because he knew enough to do it. Like the amount of times like he would always take control of the camera. But the amount, you do it at a similar time occasionally when you want something very specific if you don't quite know it. But the amount of times he's just like, alright, I want to set this up and then give me the camera back. It's like, I want it to look like this. Here. There you go, Josh. Thank you. He's not the technical computer guy. I remember going in editing with him, and he'd said before he was trying to edit the thing, and then I found out what he was editing on, and I just had to laugh. I was like, yeah, I've got my Mac, it's all good, because it was impossible to edit. It would. Especially with HD footage, it was like you were basically editing frame by frame.
Right.
Because the computer was so slow when you shouldn't be.
Things I remember about a lot of my fun memory. I don't think I would have had any confidence to do what we've done, which is the shorts and the feature, without the work we did with Josh. And I remember the first thing was this dinky, horrible little basement in his mum's house, which looked amazing because he took the lights that we had and just made this thing look amazing. And then you played a guy that they needed to stand in, so this guy abused you, and he had a guy play a priest, and he got shot. And the priest guy, the actor, went to America shortly afterwards to work in Hollywood, and it's Josh found a guy who was going to Hollywood, but he could Josh can take a single room and turn it into a gorgeous kind of thing, you know?
Yeah, he's not cinematographer way of doing it, but he's the guy. He can look at a room and he can sort of go, he can look at a dank basement and go, this could be a bar. It's really?
Yeah, he's
got
that eye.
It'll
he's
work.
Got that inner eye. It's amazing. I don't have that. If I do, it's not to that degree. But anything I have is learning from Josh. You go in a room and you look at. Don't look at the obvious. Oh, it's a bathroom, so it's a bathroom. Look at. Okay, well, if I do it from this angle, could I make the ceiling seem like this? And I just remember, I have great memories of places and just watching them be made into something way better than the sum of its parts.
Yeah.
He's also he seems to have a great eye for crew. I'm not just saying that because he picked us, but I think as some of the people I've known come through the Josh Academy, worked on it for whatever, on his projects for a bit and then gone away. And it's Chelsea Burden, who is off making her own stuff.
She's
and doing really
festival
well.
route now. Well done.
Yeah,
if you ever watch her videos, pray down. You're successful and
Brett.
done. Brett's great.
Brett is amazing. I love you, Brett. If you ever listen to this, still super supportive and friendly with him. We occasionally see him at Scarpunk gigs.
Yeah. And
I remember walking past him once. You went, "That looks Brett," and then he just turned around. It is Brett. Nikki Byrne, who when we were doing a feature, we needed a producer. She dropped out pretty quickly because she got a good job, but she one session with her and she taught us everything that we needed to put in place before you film a feature. And
still didn't do it all.
No,
we knew we were meant to.
And there were others as well who I can't remember the names of, who came on for a day or were there.
There's a guy called Chris who was a pretty good sound guy. I can't remember his surname there, so I can't remember who's chat her up. I don't know.
But he could find talent, and then his actors. Josh's approach to casting was amazing. Our approach has been, we meet the person, we see if we like him or not. If we think we like them or they're a bit similar to a character, we go with them. And if not, we keep them in mind for if we start to get desperate for something.
Yeah.
And sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't work quite as well, but it's never failed.
Yeah.
So that's why we've kept doing that. He goes on the appearance.
Yeah.
And he finds people who look the character in his head. and he has had some amazing looking actors. Monica Galeski, who I'm going to talk about Two Gun Saint stuff separately because that deserves its own fucking chapter. He got a guy who looked exactly like Viggo Mortensen. Was it Barry? Dave Barry? Jason Barry. Not Matt Berry, that's the guy from the IT crowd.
No.
But like, I still have a picture on Facebook of him, and I just tell people, it's Viggo Mortensen. We got him on a film.
Yeah, we filmed.
Yeah,
it's great.
He's such a director. He just is a director, and hanging around with him, like, if you're a filmmaker or an aspiring filmmaker and you want to know how to take yourself beyond or you don't want to do a film school route, find people making films and find the director and just shadow them. Because the amount of stuff I learned in talking to actors, getting scenes done, were amazing from Josh. Like, he's that pillar, like I said. And then, as a man, first of all, he's fucking hilarious. Like, he's just got that odd kind of quirky. He's exactly like Steve Buscemi in Living in Oblivion. That kind of, he's sort of in control and he knows what he wants, but he's slightly helpless to the world around him.
And every single shoot that you'll ever have him on, he will die by the end of it.
That's how he's done. Do you know he was hospitalised?
Yeah.
Halfway through filming in a club in town, wasn't it? He got a club in town and he got all these heavies and actors and stuff. We had this whole crew turn up and he was dying. We picked him up and he was dying. Because on film, he just lives off, like, energy drinks.
Yeah.
And nothing else. And then he just dies.
Like, he's very similar to me. Like, I do it and you occasionally complain if you do it. Like,
not eating on shoots.
I don't tend to eat on shoots. It's not because, like, it's just because I feel like there's more stuff I can be doing. So I do that and then let everyone else take breaks, and then it means actors are fresh, who are the ones that need to be fresh on camera and stuff. But the difference between me and Josh is, after a shoot, I'll go have a massive meal to make up for it. So I basically go on to, like, a 2,000 calorie meal a day on shoots, as opposed to, like, 3 meals a day, which overall it's the same. It just means that you're a bit hungry in the day. Josh doesn't do that. He'll have, like, a banana or something, the world's smallest meal at the end of the day, and then live on energy drinks for the rest of it.
Because he's up. What he then does is he's up all night, making alterations, planning out the next day. His minutiae detail, and he obsesses over it. He's so impressive. Like, he's a one-man crew, just without the technical bits at times. But it pisses me off when you do that, because I like to eat. Yeah. And if I don't eat within a certain amount of time, I turn into a dick. And I've always been that way. You can say more of a dick. I'll accept it. Like, I remember Josh's shit, like, I'd insist on going out for tea and food, and he'd be like, we need to get this done. Like, I'm going to eat first. And I think he got a bit annoyed at me there. I want to talk about his feature film.
Yeah.
Like, the confidence to make a feature partly came from Josh. Like, I always knew I wanted to make one, but I didn't feel ready till we worked so much on, it started as Sunset in a Bretta's Eye, but I think it's now called Two Gun Saint. Yeah. Which was Josh's big feature. And first of all, like, I have to give Josh so much credit, because he has nearly finished it at least twice, possibly a third time now. Got so far with it and decided it's not up to what he wants, and scrapped it and started again. Yeah. And the bravery of that is amazing. And to, like, scrap it and keep going is insane. Like, that's kind of inspirational. I've always kind of looked at Josh as like, so if it doesn't work, you just keep going. It makes perfect sense, you know? Like, and that's, again, the competence of Josh. And working on this feature was amazing, because you see how haphazard it can be, but what you can get. And some of the stuff we were getting just on raws. Like, he would get, I remember one scene, he got 10 huge bouncers to turn up for free to play guys that got shot. Yeah. And then it was like, I just remember being there with the camera, and these 10 guys are walking up with this guy in front, and I was just like, oh, fuck. I'm so glad I'm not in prison right now, because this is fucking scared the shit out of me.
I was saying, I think they were the bouncers from the club that he managed to get as well.
Well, he also got for free. Got the club and the bouncers.
I think that's how he worked it.
Amazing. Just amazing.
That was with Daz. I think that was with Daz.
Yeah, Daz is a story to his own. Yeah. Josh and Daz were an amazing double act when they worked together. We're going to stop here.
We're back.
Right, wait. So St. Bretta's the bouncers from the club were the same fucking bouncers, and they were fucking huge. I remember other ones, like, he got Ryan Serenko, amazing actor, to just basically get his thumbs cut off in an alleyway. And all we did was it was an alleyway in town.
Was it his fingers? It was his.
It was trigger fingers.
Yeah.
It was his trigger fingers. And it was an alleyway in town. And it was just a normal alley, and he managed with lighting and some stuff on the camera that he asked us to get and the right angles to create a fucking whole scene of a guy getting his fingers cut off that then would fit into the film. And it was like, sorry for the dog barking. I don't know how we stopped that in humane ways, which we would always treat our dogs with. So he's just like the what
I
you
helped
can
with the blood
do.
for that. I saved the blood on that shoot.
I remember, yeah, because it was kind of fucked up, and then you. But who could they like the blood?
Yeah, everyone looked at me weird when I was like, "Has anyone got a January sponge?"
Yeah. Yeah, so he's just he's impressive, and he's one of those guys. Like, there are filmmakers around you who can do stuff, but for whatever reason they've gone the indie route. Because he could totally be like some guy making adverts and stuff if he wanted to, and they'd be perfectly good adverts. But he wants to do what he's passionate about doing, and because he's doing it that way, like if you in your local area have anyone making films, go offer to work on it, learn, see what he's doing. Because if you find a Josh Fowler, you find an infinite font of knowledge. Like right there. And the amount of time stuff didn't work as well. Like one of the lessons I learned from Josh was limit the amount of shots that you do. Because apart from Chelsea Burden, who was really good at making him move on to the next shot, I remember sometimes he would get a bit too... Oh, God, what's the film director? Full Metal Jacket. The Shining. I want to say Roman Polanski, but it's definitely not. Stanley Kubrick.
Yeah.
He would get a bit too Kubrick in doing too many takes. And it would get a bit to the point where the whole energy would be like down, but he wouldn't have got what he was looking for. And I remember once it was someone crying or something, and it got very, very difficult, and kind of like everyone's upset. No one's believes in what we're doing right now.
Nah.
We need to stop. But also like his ability to just get a club, just go and ask places. I remember we were doing Young Dumb Numb, and he was actually acting in it, and we were the crew. And we just went into bars that night and went, "Can we film something here?" And they were like, "Yeah, no permission slips or anything." We just went, sat at a table, filmed, went, next place, filmed. And it was just so cool.
It was essentially, don't put any signs on that can prove that it's this place. You can film in it as far as they're concerned.
And the amount of random things that happened in his filming. I remember going to an alleyway once, and then the next thing just roadworks. Just instant drain works happening.
I think didn't we go to the alley, and then we came back the next day. The alley was fine.
Yeah.
And he wanted to show us another location, so we went to the other location. Came back, and there was just like a drainage pump.
Yeah. They just sailed in for the time. Oh, what's some of the other stuff that happened with Josh? That car goes past.
Loads.
There's so many stories. Come on, we gotta have some good Josh stories. I remember. Another lesson I learned was I remember he wanted a character to do a lap dance or a pole dance, and then like the day before we were filming, she decided she didn't want to do it, even though it'd all been set up so we could get that weekend. And he was a bit annoyed, but was kind of nice with her about it. And so I always use that as an analogy when we talk to actors. So it's like, if you have a nude scene, or you have a toilet scene, or you have toilet humour, whatever, read the script. If you're happy with it, come back and we can talk. If you're not happy with it, fine, come and tell me before you agree. Because once you've agreed, as far as I'm concerned, you're doing everything, you're willing to do everything that's in the script. Not that we've ever done nudists, but...
I think she has actually done that now.
Right.
But they just didn't do it as risky as it was meant to be originally. I don't know if it's actually not as risky as it meant to be originally, or if he just described it really badly to everyone, and that might be why she dropped out in the first place.
Right.
I don't know.
Okay. I remember bringing him grapes on one shoot where he died, and that I think it was when he was hospitalised, and we turned the next day with grapes, and he just looked like... And we gave him grapes, and he sort of laughed, and he went, "So on our next shoot, we're going to be doing this." And he was straight back on it, even though he couldn't talk. Like, and he had steroids. Do you remember? You got to give him steroids that could cause like all these side effects, including like feelings of nausea, paranoia, feelings of being alone, rounding of the face.
I've just remembered one of the other ones. On the same one where he was dying, at one bit he couldn't really talk like at a decent volume. I think it was Chelsea. It was Daz.
Yeah.
Rather, Daz basically had to direct, even though he was actually acting in that scene.
There's car alarm going.
Close the window. Daz had to essentially direct the film, but he wasn't, because like with someone that's like Josh, you can't take over directing a film. Like that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Essentially, what it was is that everyone sort of had to make Josh sit in a corner away from the shoot
And grunt.
and just kind of either for a combination of writing things down and like whispering to Daz what he wants to be done, we sort of got it done. But like he couldn't even see the scene. We just had to go with what we're saying, whether it was good or not. He could just hear everything.
I remember that one as well. Like we got it, and then we're like, Josh, we got it. It's like, one more. One more. So we started saying that. So, one more. Top. One more. I remember the drinking with him, and the thing about Josh is that guy knows films. Like, if you ever meet Josh Fowler, Josh G Fowler on Facebook, as I found out because I made friends with the wrong Josh Fowler, this American guy who's supposed to smoking weed, and now we chat to each other occasionally on Facebook.
Nice.
And it's only because it's the wrong Josh, but he knows everything. The amount of cinema he introduced me to: Independent, America, Living in Oblivion. What's the film with the two guys that we remind him of?
It's not bad.
No, it's not. American Dream, American movie. A Korean cinema introduced me to everything. Bittersweet Life, The Good, the Bad, and the Weird. A whole branch off from there. He introduced me to like the Hong Kong films and what they were doing and stuff. And he's very into his kind of standard, traditional, actiony stuff with angles and all that. Do you remember that? Do you remember one story I remember? Do you remember when his friends were coming to play gangsters? And we'd arranged it with the police, and we had high-vis jackets on, and he sent me to go and meet them. So I told them all, this is a symbolic indie film, so we're not actually having guns because we can't have them in public. So we're going to simulate it by basically acting out rape. So instead of shooting you, he's going to mimic kissing you, and then you'll die. And they were all just like, freak the fuck out. And then they got there. And I just remember, like, one of them just looked at each other. Are we kissing a dude? I just went, what? He said, you're not using guns, you're just kissing a dude. And then he just looked at me and just went, you've met Sam then. He wasn't even pissed off at me on that one. He was fine. He had a load of guns. I remember that.
Yeah.
All replica things, but he knew like everything, like one in the chamber for this and how many bullets.
He bought like we're in England obviously. Might not be obvious to everyone, but like you can't buy replica guns that look like replica guns.
It's nigh on impossible, and if you do, you're under investigation.
Yeah, like the closest you can get is air pistols, but then you have to be part of an air pistol club and all sorts of random shit. But you used to be able to. And Josh was old enough, because he's a little bit older than us, to have seen that, to be a filmmaker before that happened, and to have seen that legislation coming. So he just bought a shitload
of amazing looking pistols and guns.
Right before they became illegal. So they're legal because he owned them before they were illegal.
Yeah. Oh shit! I just remember one. Do you remember we were talking about the other day, the fixture we had on the front of our camera? What was it called?
The SG Blade.
SG Blade. And it was this fixture thing, but it didn't work in the dark and it wasn't great. And even though it gave us kind of control in daylight, it wasn't worth the money we paid for it. And it came in this amazing looking briefcase. And then he decided to use the briefcase as a prop. I remember like the actor had the prop, and I think Josh had the camera at this point. He was doing it was like a handover scene between two guys in a briefcase. And I remember turning to you and saying, "Did he empty the briefcase?" And then literally, as I said that, the guy opened the briefcase and the whole content, like a £1,000 piece of equipment, just went boom onto the floor, and just looked like. It wasn't ruined as a scene, but I just remember that. Empty the briefcase, Josh.
Yeah.
How did
I mean, he's still got the briefcase now because he needed it for the crowd.
He's welcome to
but we've got the SG Blade. He's just got the briefcase for it.
He got the best bit of the deal.
Yeah,
the SG Blade was not good.
The briefcase has been used more than the SG Blade.
Yeah.
It's not that the SG Blade isn't good. It's just we could have bought 2 cameras.
Yeah.
The 2 Gs less and got the same effect.
We took a punt and it was. Yeah. Some punts have paid off beautifully, others not so much, and that was one of the ones that didn't pay off. I'm trying to think more Josh. Whenever I see Josh, sometimes I see him in his place of work, and he's always writing down, like, new film ideas and scripts. I look like he's just constant on the go with it. I love that about him. Like, sometimes I go, oh yeah, I've got to write this. I know in my head, fuck it. He's like, no, I've got this in my head. I'm going to write everything down and then come up with 9 variations. I remember on Josh's shoots, there usually wasn't scripts.
No.
I remember, like, we filmed for, I think it was a year's worth of filming without ever seeing a script, and then someone saw a script, and you just be like, you saw a script?
Well, no, that was the thing. Like, me and Sam got on early. I think we were probably there for almost 2 years total.
Yeah.
On and off. And we never once saw a script. I think you saw, like, 2 pages of a script or something, or 1 bit. The whole time we just thought there wasn't a script, and it was just Josh he knew what he wanted, and we're like, fuck it, we'll try it. Because we weren't really there, like, to make a feature film so much as to learn how to make a feature film.
To learn by osmosis, which we were doing.
Yeah,
which is why 2 years... And they were fun. They were fun shoots. Even when they were the most late-pressured, horrible things, that you were cold and miserable and freezing, they were still fun. Yeah. There was the filmmaking kind of thing going on.
Had the full vibe. But yeah, like... We then later, like... Everyone knew their lines, which was always slightly odd since we never saw a script. And we kept asking to see a script. And, like, at first, I think they only had the pages that they needed for the day and stuff like that. And then later on, like, a few people came on when the crew started getting bigger before we, like, left the shoot because we couldn't do some days. And there was a whole thing that.
We'll talk about that.
Like, and as more crew joined on, like, they then started talking about the next scene we were going to do. And we were kind of like, how do you know what the next scene we're going to do is?
Scene 53A? What the fuck is that?
How do you know what the scene is? It's like, it's in the script.
There's Chelsea.
What script?
Chelsea was like, yeah, it's in the script. And you're like, there's a script?
We've still never seen a script. Apparently there is one though, just only certain people are allowed to see it.
Yeah. We should talk about how we kind of ended. Like, we were on good terms with Josh. I say I would love the guy. Like, if he needed me and I could fit, I would totally go on anything. Josh, if you're watching this, and I'll probably send you the link because I'm that kind of ego guy. Like, I'd be happy to help you out anyway. I've always said to Tom, you'll bet me on this. If we made money, like with Tuss, if we made say like 50 grand, I'd throw Josh 10 and say, Josh, put that towards your thing because you need it. Type, just fucking get the thing done because it's amazing. Like, because it is amazing.
I wouldn't, but I'm greedy. Yeah, I'd throw it at my own stuff.
Yeah, which is fair. Yeah. It's totally fair. But like, when we're filming, I think the shoot grew and we weren't, like, we'd been there early on, we'd been more kind of involved and we became less and less involved. And I think also we're very not professional. No. And some actors loved it, like Matt Berry, not Matt Berry. Jason Berry, not Matt Berry, it's not the anti card. Speak, priest! No. Jason Berry, like, called us the best crew he'd ever worked with, but we were quite vibrant and loud and energetic, and I think at times he needed a more quiet, solemn crew, particularly for the deeper things, and I don't think we were always conducive to that kind of atmosphere. And the kind of accuracy of the dates, because we felt like, well, we're bringing equipment and doing this, you should really give us the dates and then we'll tell you if we can do them or not, and we'll try and arrange stuff around. Kind of went a bit...
Plus, we had to kind of book holidays off for when he was shooting.
Yeah.
And things like that.
It wasn't an easy arrangement of turn up and shoot. Here's the red phone in our back cave. HFP will ring up and it got to the point where we weren't given enough time and shoots were done without us, and I think we just kind of fizzled to the point where it was like, you don't seem that interested in using us anymore. But then I remember talking to Josh, just encounter it, and he felt the other way, like we weren't interested in him, and it actually got a little tense for a while. But then it was fine. I think I don't even think there was a combo about it. I think it was just time passed. He carried on his shit. We did our shit. I think one of the problems with it was that Josh wasn't doing the emails to us. I think it went through like multiple people. So we only ever got an email with like preliminary dates. So we're like, let us know. We'll book them off if we need when
to.
they're confirmed.
And they never got confirmed. Well, they got confirmed, but we never got an email saying they were confirmed until like last minute, at which point we couldn't book them off. Yeah. It was impossible. And I think that was the main one that killed it. Like, there was a couple of shoots before that where it was like odd days where we're like, we can't do that shoot, Josh, sorry.
Which I understand. Yeah. And I think also by that point we'd grown. Like, I remember we were going to make Tuss a year before we filmed it, and then we couldn't get together, and then we decided to take that extra year and we did the next bit of extra work with Josh, but we were getting antsy or at least I was getting antsy to do my own kind of feature and thing, and you were too. Like, we needed to do something else, I think, in a different direction and kind of grow a bit. But it wasn't because we were like Josh's level or we felt better or anything. It was just literally, it just naturally came to a bit where we weren't as involved. He wasn't as engaged with us, and it just drifted a bit. But it was still like, he's still up here, and he's still like a great fucking filmmaker. Like I said, he's a pillar. He's one of those pillars holding up the foundation of HFP. He's so influentialness. Like, I'd recommend him to anyone. And when Sunset in a Betta's Eyes, it's now called Two Gun Saint, his action-y feature film is finished, I have no doubt it will be amazing. Like, no doubt.
When it's finished.
When it's finished. For reals. But I think it'll either be finished or he'll die.
Yeah.
Because I don't think he'll ever give up on that. He's that kind of guy. He's tenacious as fuck. Which is another thing you have to be if you want to be a filmmaker. I think tenacity is as important as anything. Keeping on shit, keeping ringing shit, keeping doing shit. If it doesn't work, you do it again. If it doesn't work, you do it again type thing. It's like, that's just...
In case you watch this, Josh, if you cancel the film again, may I suggest making a short version, like the prequel that you started a while ago, that we originally came on for, and doing like the proper prequel, and then sending that off to people, because you could quite easily make this film, like, you know it in your head, if you had the budget, and it always seems to be that the budget is the thing that ends the film.
Hence why I want to throw the money if we had it. I'd give it him and just say, finish it, because I think if he has the money, he can... I say don't listen to Tom because he's an idiot. But, Josh, if you're watching this, just do it. Keep doing it, man. Yeah. You're great. Yeah, that's HFP Discusses, Josh Fowler.
Yeah, that's probably the longest discussion ever. Sam, good luck finding enough pictures.
He's worth discussing. He's a good human.
Cool.
Hopefully he still speaks to us afterwards. Fuck it. Who cares if he doesn't? Bye!
See ya!